Good afternoon, everybody. A sound check. Cheryl, how's the sound working today? Oh, Cheryl, you're on mute. Okay, well, let's, she looks like she's the only one.
And Tammy?
Tammy is here, so.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome everybody, and I normally say to our regularly scheduled event, well, this is a special one because we're gonna have our holiday party afterwards, but welcome to our December meeting. I am going to declare a quorum with 6 of us here, and I'm quite certain that Clark and Peter Fanning should be on their way. 3 of our board members are out of town. As far as the secretary's report, you all received a copy of the minutes in your advance pack, and I wondered, were there any questions, comments, edits that anybody has to the minutes? Hearing none, may I have entertain a motion to adopt? Is there somebody that would make that motion?
So moved.
So moved by Ken, and we have a second. Okay, no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously adopted. Clark, not to put you right on the spot,
sorry.
literally sit down, but you have your notebook handy with a treasurer's report.
Well, we've got $1,545.17 in the checking account.
Oh, good. Did that one renew, the one from the Ritz Quay folks, did that come in?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
well, that's great. And I apologize, in your board packet was our draft budget for next year. And it's on the screen. It's gone through a few iterations with Jamie's help in fine tuning some of the event costs, some assumptions. Jamie, could you just hit some of the key, our big expense drivers are, of course, our workshop events, and could you just talk us through what we've got in for next year?
So just briefly, if you look at the top, that's basically kind of what we make every year on event attendee income and then some sponsorship, but that's at the very top. And then if you kind of move down to little bit under half the page, you're gonna see conference venue. That seems to be our biggest expense as far as the workshops go. So we're budgeting roughly $2,500 for each event venue. That would be if we use Goey Hall again. We are, of course, still searching for less expensive venues, but that seems to be extremely difficult. Even if you find something cheaper, there's a food and beverage minimum that's way more than what you're gonna pay at the church. And then the other one, the third event would be the annual members meeting, and that's gonna be offset by the grant. So that's kind of a wash. So if we get the $3,000, that'll offset the other $2,500. It'd be somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000. So basically the city, if we get the grant, the city pays for exactly what we pay for. So they're not gonna give us extra money. So that's pretty much the bulk of the events. A little bit for beverages, but not much.
And the other thing I will say that the executive committee had a discussion about our newsletter. Do we go quarterly? Do we not do it a couple months in the summer? And I think the consensus was that the newsletter is becoming fairly effective as far as keeping DSCA out there in the public. We've gotten compliments from commissioners, and I can personally attest that during the summer, things don't particularly slow down as far as a hiatus there. So some of our expense driver is our marketing assistant person who helps us, Robin Parsons, who helps with the newsletter, and it's the recommendation, I think, of the executive group that we continue on a monthly basis. We are getting a little bit more efficient in doing a little bit, with the exception of me, in formatting and getting that out. We've got the newsletter list goes to over 900, almost 1,000 people. We've got 53% opening. So I think most people would agree that's a pretty good number.
David, is that a non-duplicative opening? I mean, if I open it 5 times, is that once?
It's a good question. I don't know the answer.
Oh, okay.
I think-
It's by individual, I believe, it's number of individuals.
So, but I'm an individual, so is it each time I open it?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's the fact that you've opened it, it's
one
been
of
opened, you've opened it.
Yeah,
How
but
many
what if I
times-
go back a second time? No,
I don't
We're
think
talking about the percentage of people who have sent to, the percentage of people who have opened it at least once.
Okay, and
Yeah.
only once.
It doesn't, the fact that you opened it, you can re-look at it any time. You have told the system you've opened it. That's all it cares.
We're only
Okay, so-
counting
It won't,
once,
it
yeah.
won't count it as, if you open it 3 times, I don't think it's counting it as
It's
3.
per, it's a
Yeah.
person.
Not 3 consecutive
Okay.
days.
Right.
Yeah.
And
It's
we
so
have-
long, I never can read it in one, no.
Well, I know this is rather abbreviated, the budget doesn't really differ too much from prior years in our practices. We are recommending, let me just dovetail into the membership, associate member benefits and fee schedule. The executive committee is recommending an increase of the member dues from $200 to $250. That's the second increase in 8 years, I believe, in 8 or 9 years. And that's
39 years, yeah, so you're talking about here for the condos.
right. And we hope that a couple lattes a month would be acceptable to our members. We certainly value their participation. In fact, are going to kind of beat the bushes for some more members this coming year. And then as far as associate members, we're also proposing a modest increase from to $400 for gold and to $700 for platinum, which again, I hope people would understand that this is not, we're not rolling in, this is a shoestring kind of association with very much escalating costs at our event space and other costs. So may I just make a joint motion? Is this acceptable, Peter, to accept the budget as proposed, and part and parcel to that would be the revised fee structure?
Well, it's acceptable to do, and you'll know whether anybody objects, because when they vote, they may say, I would vote for this, but not that. And then that'll give you the clue that you need to separate the motions, but you can
Okay.
try.
Is there would somebody like to make that motion?
I move that we accept the new membership and associate membership schedules.
Peter, and then is there a second for that?
Second.
Second with Ken. Any further discussion about this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And I see a unanimous decision to accept that.
That was the membership schedule.
The membership schedule, right?
Now we want to vote on the motion to accept the 24 vote budget.
Okay, I was combining the two, but if we,
But the motion I heard was for the membership schedule, so I will
Okay,
move
he's right. I did not include the budget in that
the
motion.
all right,
proposed 2024 budget.
you're making
I'm making a
that.
motion to accept the 2024 budget. as
Okay.
provided.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, and there's a second to that. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we have both done. Good. Moving along, Judy, would you be so kind as to introduce our guest speakers?
Thank you.
We're very excited today.
Yeah, me too. Okay, look, I'll stand up, all right? Look, it's the holiday season, so I dressed appropriately. And at most of these meetings, we have guests who tell us about all problems going on in our community. We are all civic volunteers here, Jazz Club members included. We're all working to make Sarasota the best it can be. And so why not include one of the most positive elements that we have in our community, and that's jazz. If you think about it, jazz is America's cultural ambassador to the rest of the world. I grew up in jazz. My dad played trumpet. He always had a gig for the weekends. And when we bought our place in 2006, we invited our best friend from Canada to come down. This guy teaches jazz. He He's an aficionado. He knows the stars, he knows the history. We took him to the municipal auditorium where this year's Jazz Fest is gonna be, and there was a combo gathering up. His jaw dropped. His eyes were big as saucers. He said, "Do you know what you have got here? We have some jazz royalty right in our community. The quality of jazz in Sarasota is as good as in any city in this country." Last couple of Mondays ago, we went to Monday Jazz at the Cabaret Sarasota Theater, sitting next to a bunch of people from Naples. They drive up here to go to that one performance on the Monday night. I said, "Don't you have jazz in Naples?" And they said, "Nothing like here." So I want you to understand, this is very, very special asset in our community. And to talk about it, we got 3 civic volunteers just like us. There's Nick, who grew up in New Orleans. I mean, you gotta love jazz, if you grew up in New Orleans. And there's Peter, who's become a board member. And he's the one who's lived outside of the United States, so he knows you can hear jazz practically anywhere. And then Louise, who's played jazz on radio and on television, so they've all got their corners of it. So could you please come and let us hear what you have to say about this wonderful, wonderful asset in our community?
Wow, what an introduction.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Come on, Nick.
Okay, what she said.
Okay, Nick, may I suggest, please, we have a few people on Zoom.
Yes.
If you stand kind of over here, and you're gonna get the fisheye, no, right about here.
Okay.
Okay, and, all right, all right.
All right, well, thank you for having us here to speak tonight and talk about the Jazz Club of Sarasota. And I want to tell you, one of the big questions I get if I wear this shirt or tell people I'm with the Jazz Club is, "God, where's the club? Where are they playing? Where's the music?" I said, "There is no club." "Well, how can you have a jazz club without a club?" And I explained to them what we do, and I'm about to do the same with this group here. But first, let me tell you how we got started. The Jazz Club of Sarasota, it began as a brainstorm of a gentleman named Hal Davis. He was retired in Sarasota and in the PR profession and in the publicity department, it's hard to say, at CBS. He handled top talent like the big bands of that era in the 30s and 40s and managed Benny Goodman's tours of Asia, Europe, and the Soviet Union. Yes, again, jazz goes around the world. When Hal came to Sarasota, there was one thing. There was ballet, there was opera, and there was theater, but no jazz. Just like said there. And so on weekends, he would play jazz records in his apartment, he and his wife. Then they started inviting friends over, and they would do it like on a regular basis. And then more friends would come over, and they started doing it in the living room. I'm not making this up. And then finally, it got all the way down to a conference room similar to this one at a condominium somewhere over here. That was it. That was basically the start of the Jazz Club of Sarasota. So how do we maintain those efforts for those individuals? Let's raise some money. And we started doing, promoting the performances. The Monday night cabaret that was just referred to, you really gotta try it, you know. You go there, it's a cabaret setting, you sit there and you expect Humphrey Bogart to come around the corner and with a cigarette in his mouth. And it has that kind of vibe to it. The biggest thing we do every year in the springtime is the festival. This year, we've got some great headliners, Terrell Stafford, D.D. Bridgewater, I can never remember who they are, but I put some materials over here on the table that tells you who's going to be there, what time they're going to play, everything, as well as membership materials too. I just want to say one thing about the membership is that if you sign up and new member, you get 20% off on every show you attend. So you attend maybe 3 shows, you've paid for your membership. So, and I strongly recommend we go that route. So the situation right now with the jazz club is on a day-to-day basis, yes, we're putting on festivals, we're playing the Jazz at 2 down at the Unified Unitarian Church, doing the cabaret, and there's educational and teaching situations which Louise will address. And let's see, I'm a little bit off kilter because recently we found out that the building where we have our offices and store all our materials has been sold, and they're gonna put a condominium on top of it.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. So, so my efforts right now, I'm looking for a place for us to call home. And we're on a temporary basis because in the big picture, our final goals are to have our own facility where we can have practice rooms, teaching facilities, and performance facilities. That's down the line, but that's where we are working towards right now. It will be temporary until we go to the permanent facilities. That's basically, any questions I can answer? Sir?
How are you organized? Are you an LLC, a not-for-profit?
No, we're 501c3, not for profit. I can tell you because they don't pay me.
How many square feet are you looking for your office?
Between 400 and 600. That's not too big, you know. But basically, we have one individual who's there most of the time and storage.
Have you been in touch with a real estate agent, Nick?
We just started the process about a week ago.
Can I suggest you talk to Ian Black? Ian is a commercial real estate agent and he knows the city really well. And Ian is in the arts. Ian is a painter.
Great.
He's a painter, so.
We'll
he
hook you up
appreciates
with
the
Ian. Yep. Yeah.
I knew I came to the right place. Okay, well, right now I'd like to turn the floor over to Peter Anderson, one member of the board of directors, and you know, an all-around good guy.
Thank you, Nick.
All right.
And thank you. And my first statement is to apologize that I did not get home in time to put on my festive outfit. I feel horribly underdressed compared to all of you beautiful people. But instead, this is kind of the way jazz people like to dress. So here we are. So yeah, my name is Peter Anderson. I've lived in Sarasota for 30 years. I remember a conversation that I had with my Aunt Marguerite, who was living in Hartford, Connecticut. Her husband, my Uncle Bill, produced the Connecticut River Jazz Festival for many, many years. They would actually hire one of the ferries that typically would go to Block Island or Martha's Vineyard and turn that into a jazz festival, and it was remarkable. My aunt said to me, when I told her I was moving to a town called Sarasota that I had never heard of, that she said, "Oh, Sarasota, I belong to the Sarasota Jazz Club." I said, "I'm moving to a town that's got a jazz club?" She said, "Absolutely." And she pointed out to me, at that time, the Sarasota Jazz Club had the largest mailing list of any jazz club in the United States of America. Thousands. And this is back when the jazz club was in a company. So it was really just a conversation. Where they were doing a plethora of performances on an annual basis like we do now. So that's what I'm going to talk about. I am the host of the Monday Night Jazz series at the Florida Studio Theater. To Nick's point, it's an incredible room. The biggest compliment I get from that night every single time that we perform there is from the artists themselves that say, "This is the kind of room we love to perform in." It's a listening room. Oftentimes jazz is relegated as background music. Jazz artists are very serious artists. They want to be heard. They want to be listened to. So it's a great format for that. I've been trying to mix up our schedule a little bit so that we're doing some very traditional straight ahead jazz. And I'm trying to bring in some jazz that's a little bit more contemporary, if you will. Years and years ago, I remember, has anybody here ever heard of the music festival Giving Hunger the Blues in Sarasota?
Yeah.
Remember that festival?
Yeah.
All right, so I co-chaired that event for about 12 years. And then I produced the last 4 years that that event took place. The way I got involved with the Jazz Club was that 1 year I was producing the event at the Van Wezel, and I decided to pull out all the stops and have 2 national stages, a blues stage and a jazz stage. I called the then president of the Jazz Club and said, hey, look, I've been trying for years to collaborate with the Jazz Club with Giving Hunger the Blues. And for years, I kept getting pushback. This new president said, absolutely, let's talk. His name was Ed Linehan, who is Nick's predecessor. And lo and behold, among other things, come to find out, he was my high school principal. Hadn't seen each other in 40 years, and we've ended up becoming very good friends. That relationship is when I became officially involved with the Jazz Club of Sarasota. For many, many years prior to that, I thought to myself, oh, those people are too old for me to hang out with. I woke up one morning and said, oh my God, I'm one of them. So here I am. So a little bit more about our program. We typically produce somewhere in the neighborhood of 120 to 150 shows and performances per year. The Monday Night Jazz is one of the things that we do. Oftentimes, on the same Monday that I'm at the Florida Studio Theater, right across the street at the library, we have a jazz jam now that has become incredibly popular. So jazz artists can pop in, play with other artists, and there's a nice audience, and it's actually become a fixture at Selby Library. My church on Fruitville Road, the Unitarian Church, hosts Jazz at 2 during the season, every Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Typically not the time of day that I associate with listening to jazz, but we're in Sarasota. The Jazz at 2 performances are great. We also do collaborative shows with Fogartyville. We have a number of artists that we will help promote in other venues. But the 2 big events of the year that we're most proud of is our kickoff event in October. 2 years ago, who should have been our headliner in 2019, when on my way back to the Van Wezel to kick off our jazz festival, I heard on WUSF on my way to the Van Wezel that the festival that I was getting ready to go back and work had been canceled due to the pandemic. Our headliner that year was Manhattan Transfer. We were actually able to hang on to that relationship and contract until we were able to bring them here a year ago. This past October, they were our headliner for our October kickoff event. Just this past October, Spyro Gyra was our headliner, and we had a great turnout for that show. I will tell you about the Jazz Festival, which is coming up in March. I am thrilled that the jazz festivals that I used to attend here in Sarasota, which oftentimes looked like red and white seersucker suits, straw hats, clarinets, and banjos, Philippi Creek, has now morphed into a jazz festival with some really big name headliners. Last year we had a tremendous lineup. This year we have a tremendous lineup. I bought a cheat sheet. So Nick mentioned that our music director is Terrell Stafford. Terrell Stafford is a renowned jazz trumpeter. He's in the Village Vanguard Orchestra. I heard him perform in New York just a few weeks ago. Brilliant man with all the connections, and he's been able to put together a lineup that includes Dee Dee Bridgewater, who I spend a lot of time in New Orleans too. I've got family there. I've heard Dee Dee Bridgewater in New Orleans countless times. She's amazing. Chucho Valdez, huge name in Latin jazz. Wycliffe Gordon and the Jeff Hamilton Trio. Houston Persons performs here frequently. He's a well-known, renowned bebop artist. Grace Kelly. I'm excited this year because we have a lot of women performing on our main stage. Grace Kelly, Akiko Tsuru, and Valerie Gillespie, and she is performing with an all-woman ensemble. So that's going to be really exciting. To reiterate what Nick said, if you are a member, when you become a member, you will enjoy discounts on a handful of tickets that will provide you with your ROI, return on investment, and going forward then for the rest of the season and the rest of the year, you're going to have the opportunity to hear tremendous jazz. One of the things that I'm excited about, my son actually went to Florida State University as a jazz performance major. Quick story, I was bragging about the fact that my son was going to FSU as a jazz performance major the year that I had the jazz stage at the band Raisel. I was talking to one of the bands on the break. And he said, "Oh, that's cool. What's your son play?" I said, "He was a drummer." And I'm talking out my chest. And he said, "Oh, that's great. What's the difference between a 14-inch pizza and a jazz drummer?" "I don't know." He said, "A 14-inch pizza will feed a family of 4. He's not a professional jazz drummer. He's a professional illustrator, but he still plays. And one of the things that we're excited about is not only do we have this wealth of riches of jazz artists that live in around the area, but we've also got some incredible jazz programs in our local high schools. We are nurturing those relationships on a regular basis. Louise is going to be a little bit more, get a little bit more involved with that. But you know, the Booker High VPA program has been turning out amazing musicians that go on to do amazing things. And the beauty of where we live is we get to invite them to come back and perform for events. So anyhow, Peter Anderson with the Jazz Club. I hope to see all of you at any of our performances, and in particular, the Monday night performance. Quick tip, Monday the 18th, Zachary Bartholomew, who's a jazz pianist, and his trio will be performing the music of Vince Guaraldi, who does the Charlie Brown Christmas music. So if you want a really special holiday treat, I think there might be a dozen or so tickets left, but that would be one for you to jump on. I will now introduce you to Louise Coogan. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I just love having my back to you. Do you guys want to move? You're good? Okay. What am I supposed to be doing in the camera?
Yeah, kind of, here is good, yep.
And then my back's to you. I'm sorry. Hi, guys. I heard you have our bios. I'm Louise Coogan. I'm a transplant from New York City. I've been in Florida for 9 years, and I'm still adjusting. It's very challenging. It didn't make me happy until I met the Jazz Club. Peter wrote to me, invited me in, because you heard a band that I was supporting on the street, playing at Rafferty's downtown. Peter said, "Oh my God, who are these guys?" And when he talked to the band said, "Call my manager, that's just a friend." That was me. So Peter called me, and I've been on the board for 2 years now. Still working with that band, by the way. Our mission at the Jazz Club is to promote and preserve America's original musical art form of jazz. And how do you do that without supporting the next generation? So that's where I put my energy, into the kids. We have some amazing programs for the children. We always offer discount tickets to any event, ridiculously discount, like less than half price. We always have a section that is supported by donors for children who can't even afford the half-price tickets. We want kids to experience jazz. That's one thing we do. We also have discounted memberships for students. One of the things Peter had mentioned was the high school jazz competition. That is so much fun. Between 6 and 8 local high schools, Manatee County, Sarasota County, come together, usually at a high school auditorium. We have 3 esteemed judges, all professionals, who judge throughout the day. It's usually a Sunday afternoon. So you see 6 different bands play 2 or 3 tunes each. And then at the end of the afternoon, a winner is announced. They get monetary rewards for their school's music departments. And the Jazz Club has been doing this for years and years and years. And it's really a fun afternoon. If you have nothing to do, check our website, come out and hear the kids. Last year, it was the high school from Parrish, brand new high school out in Parrish. These kids just floored us. Amazing, studying jazz. So we need to support them. Their parents aren't thrilled about it, so we really need to support them. The next thing that we do, we're involved with a program called Jazz Links. It's a nationally recognized program that's right here in Sarasota. It explores the history of African-American artists through music, through the lives of the artists, and through the events of history during time. It is a collaboration with the West Coast Black Theater Troupe and the Jazz Club. They create and perform stories that will enlighten all of us about the African-American history of our country. They go into the high school. It started out as like a grade school program, but it has grown now and it goes to juniors in high school. So it has a serious impact.
And usually at the end of a semester, there's a performance. And if you see that Jazz Links has a show, buy it, because it's gonna be worth it. The last thing that we do, not the last thing, but my favorite thing that we do for the next generation, our little jewel in the crown of the Jazz Club, is our scholarship fund. For more than 3 decades, we have been encouraging, supporting, and promoting high school kids and college kids through monetary awards for their jazz education. We have given away over the years, each year, upwards of $30,000. These are significant awards to children that would otherwise not continue their education. And we're trying to grow this a little. So I'm asking you guys, you're all connected to the community. If you know of another organization that gives scholarships, I'm interested in learning about the restrictions. Right now, ours is very straight ahead, cut and dry. Money goes to your college. We're starting to expand that a little. What if the kid needs a new trumpet? You know, sometimes colleges, if you're awarded more than one scholarship, they'll just dissipate that. They won't put it exactly where you want it to go. So if anybody here works with another organization that does scholarship awards, I'd love to chat with you. I am a co-chair of the scholarship committee with Michael Ross, extraordinary bass player in the area. So you'll be able to reach us, I'm sure. I do want to tell you that our scholarship kids put on a show every year at Christmas time, and it will happen at the Unitarian Church on the 29th of December, in between Christmas and New Year's, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If you have relatives hanging around that you're tired of, bring them over to the Unitarian Church. There will be 6 performers, all students that won our scholarships this year, and they are excited. We are excited. We've had some enormous success. One of my favorite success stories is Liston Gregory, the piano player that got a scholarship, I believe it was about 5 years ago, is now touring the world with an international group called Black Violin. He is their piano player. And our youngest winner, Anthony Aldisi, just made a record with Michael Ross and company, and it's now, it's called Giraffe. You can get it on all your streaming devices. It's a beautiful quartet record, and Anthony Aldisi is about 35 years younger than anybody else on the record. And we helped him get to that point, and I'm really happy about that. How many of you go out and see live music? Okay, good. You need to keep doing that. Not only is it good for the musicians, but it's good for you. I have a radio show on WSLR, Sunday evenings, 5 to 7. I end my show every week by saying, get out and see live music. It will enhance your life. And it will. So keep it up, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Questions?
No, we're running a little bit behind.
Okay.
Any quick questions? Anybody? Boy, this was really informative.
Yeah.
So happy,
Yeah.
so happy
Thank
you
you.
folks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks so
Good
much.
job,
Thank you.
all 3
Okay.
of you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next order of business is we have a new associate member that would like to apply to Bird Key Yacht Club, and I met Tony Britt for a long coffee here a month or so ago and talked to him about DSCA, and I guess I was a okay salesperson.
You were fabulous.
And we're really happy to have Tony and Tammy Hackney here with us, and Bird Key Yacht Club, kind of an icon in the area. So without further ado, take it away between Tammy and Tony. You folks, we have your video up, it looks like, and we'd love to hear more about the club.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having us today. My name is Tammy Hackney. I'm the General Manager and Chief Operating Officer of Bird Key Yacht Club. I joined the team about 2 years ago. I had previously been at another club on the other West Coast, the San Diego Yacht Club. Was with them for 8 years. And when they reached out and invited me to come lead their team here and showed me what this club was all about, I had to leap at the chance. This is such a jewel of a club. I knew I'd just be, throwing my career away if I didn't take this opportunity, because it's such a special place. And one of the things that really separates us from many other clubs in the community is we really When we say that we are anchored in friendship, we are anchored in friendship. This is the friendliest club I have ever had the privilege to work for. A lot of clubs will say that they're extra friendly. This one walks the walk, talks the talk. They love to have a good time. They love to be very social. They're very involved in lots of activities, tennis, kayaking, boating, bocce, and we have probably one of the best chefs in the community. I put him up against anybody right now. But this is just a fantastic organization, a great way, especially for people that are, coming into your condos as a way to meet other people within the community. For those that don't have extra amenities within their condos, this is a great way to have that, extra extension of their condo, if you will. We have fitness, we have these other amenities and other opportunities that your condo members can be a part of as well. So we are actually going to be doing an open house next month on January 5th, and it's kind of an open to everybody. Come mingle, come experience our exquisite hospitality that we have to offer on a very unique view. Probably the best view in all of Sarasota. I put up with, we'll have these for you to pick up on your way out. But if you're not familiar with where we're located, we have the best downtown skyline view, and it is such a treat to be able to work there every single day. And for our members to get there, to go there every day and sit and have lunch, have dinner, they just feel like they're just in heaven. Of course, how can you beat that being here in Sarasota? So again, please pick up one of our flyers on the way out today, and to kind of top it off, we have a little sweet treat, fresh baked cookies from our kitchen. And if you would like to have any more information, there's a QR code that you can scan. Alyssa Ladon, our membership director, will be happy to answer any questions and make a reservation for you to come and join us and learn more about our club in January.
Well, thank you so much, Tammy, and thank you. I apologize, I'm doing this backwards.
Yeah.
Which is not unusual. We want to move to, do we have a motion to accept Bird Key?
So
Second, we got a second,
Still make it
and
awkward.
everybody, and,
Yes.
no,
Anyway,
yeah, I can.
He's a great second.
the whole board seconded it.
Okay, and I apologize
Second.
yet again, but we really welcome Tony and Tammy, and we appreciate your support and membership.
Free cookies for everybody.
Okay, all right. Moving along to old business, city parking. I learned just recently there's a workshop, a parking strategy workshop on January 8th, which is a little unusual because they rolled out their recommended changes. That's all I know. I don't know the agenda at this point. I'm told, brief conversation with Broxton, they are not going to include the Rosemary for whatever reason in this. It appears to be St. Armand's in downtown. So stay tuned for further information on that. It's just a little unusual. So.
The only thing I could learn on that was that apparently Broxton will be bringing a set of recommendations that have been tweaked based on his meetings at Rosemary and here at DSCA and so forth, to be discussed at this workshop amongst them before they put it up for public comment. That's all I know about it.
Okay. Yeah.
Under old business, before we leave old business, I did include in the board packet the website update.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah.
Quickly go through that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Let's do that. This is really significant, and Patrick, the work you and Robin et al. Did on that is unbelievable.
So one of the things that David had mentioned in the dues increase was certainly the cost of venues, and since we want to continue doing that, but also the cost of our communication strategy. And as you pointed out, since we're achieving over 55% openings on our monthly newsletters as well as other communications, we want to continue that tempo, but doing it more efficiently. And one of the ways we did it was to get rid of our old WordPress website and combine it under the wild apricot platform. So it's, the public facing side is integrated with our member only side. So now you have to log in to doing the member activities, register for a meeting, answer invoices or anything else. So it's all integrated. So you'll see a slightly different menu when you go to the home page here. We continue the sort of things, driving to memberships. And then when you click on one of the member only areas, let's scroll down here, then it takes you to an area that is not publicly available, but only other members can see. And we started using this in the past. We haven't used it as much recently, but it'll show up here where you can post questions here. And we've had different condos saying, hey, we're considering this kind of program or this policy. Who else might have done something in this area? And you can post that question there, and others who check that areas who subscribe to those forums will see those and respond appropriately as they do. So this is a way for some of the added communications to go forward for that we've seen our members have continually like sent us emails. Who does this sort of thing? And I said, well, maybe it'd be good if we had a way you could ask that of all the members out there. So this is the added features now, all integrated into the one platform going forward. So that's the key thing we wanted to quickly update our members on, and we appreciate the support and the payments for that. But this is the kind of things we're doing to really try to make it more efficient and effective for you. And like I say, tracking mechanisms show that it is effective in terms of the communications and response. Any questions on the migration? And again, I encourage members, especially the member representatives, to go in there, check their profile, things like that. And if you have issues or questions, please let us know now while we're engaged in like fine tuning. We've tried to migrate all of the old information, past newsletters. You want to go look up something, you want to post issues out there. All of that's kind of trying to make that integrated. We post news stories, things like this. Let us know. Thank you.
Are there financial implications in this? Any change in the charges from Wild Africa?
No, this is all part of the whole program. That's why I say we're paying for that platform. It made no sense to pay for the other, plus the time it was taking our support staff that we paid for their time to update 2 websites with some of the membership information and logos and so forth. So this way, all on one website, so their time should be reduced to continue to deliver the same quality, same services.
And Patrick, the effort you put into this is, is just countless hours and back and forth. And so, appreciation to you for all of that and everything. It's just.
I'll try and get it right. I apologize to any of our members out there who have a January 1st renewal, who have received one invoice, and you'll be receiving another one based upon the board's new approved fees. So stand by, we will correct that. Keep that up.
Okay, so thanks so much. As far as a president's report, I really don't have anything in particular today. You will have seen some email traffic on a few matters, but I don't have any overall report. Kathy, do you have anything?
No.
Okay. Committee reports. Ken, I know you have some updates for us in arts and cultural.
Yes,
group.
I have several things today. During the month of November, the Ad hoc Van Wezel Purple Ribbon Committee had 2 meetings. They were reviewing the city's draft scope of services for the engineering study that they're going to be doing shortly. There was an engineering study you've heard a lot about called the Karen study a couple of years ago. It was kind of superficial in my view, but this will be much more comprehensive and will look at the interior of the structure and below the building, because there is saltwater intrusion in the building and it's damaging the building. So we need to find out what the real condition of it is. Next issue is that the Sarasota Performing Arts Foundation has hired a new CEO, Tanya Castroverdi Moskalenko.
Spell that
Oh.
for the note.
Is there a hyphen? Is there a link on the website?
Sorry. She assumes her CEO duties on the 5th of February. In the meantime, she's working on some strategic goals for the foundation. The Arts and Cultural Alliance published in October, and I think probably many of you saw this, an assessment of the financial impact of the arts and cultural industry in the city and the county of Sarasota. It's a annually $342 million county impact with 5,200 jobs and 2.3 million attendees in 2022 at arts and cultural events, including the Jazz Club, right?
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. That is great news, and it documents the fact that this is a central industry in the area. Jay Handelman had a column in the Herald Tribune on October 30th about the old Galloway furniture store that's just north of Sarasota High School. It was designed by Victor Lundy. It was a glass building, an entirely glass building. It's now, all the glass is covered. It was an optical store until recently. And I had a conversation, and this is what Jay was talking about, not my conversation, but the fact that the Ringling College now has control of that building, and hopefully they will restore it to its original condition because it's a spectacular building. And I asked Larry Thompson about it. He said, it just takes money. That's all. The Players Theater Group has requested a pre-application conference with the city regarding their request to build an addition to the Payne Park Auditorium. And the final thing I have is that Selby Gardens will have their ribbon cutting on January 9th, next month. I was there for a tour of the advisory committee, which I'm on, and the place is impressive. I mean, the difference, the contrast between the new buildings and the old buildings, which look sort of shabby right now next to the new stuff, is just world class. I mean, you can't believe how great this place looks and is going to look. In fact, they planted the plants around the parking structure, and they're starting to grow up the sides of the building. They have a variety of plants. They will get different exposures because of the four sides of the building. So some will grow faster than others, but it's happening already. They're growing up the side of the building. It's wonderful. So look, show up in January. You'll be fascinated. The interior of the buildings have wood features, and all of the wood is reclaimed wood, most of it from the site. For any of the trees that they took down, they recycled the wood, including mahogany. There was a mahogany tree on the property, and there's some mahogany wood inside the research building. That's it.
Good, thank you. Jamie, you've been busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have two events in the works, March Platinum Workshop and also the annual members meeting. I don't have anything prepared today. We're still in the early planning stages, but we will have a flyer for the March event by the January meeting, and then we'll also have the grant information presented to you guys by the January meeting, because that is going to be due on January 29th. So that has to be pretty much done and ready to go by the next board meeting.
And the dates are?
We don't have a specific date yet. We're still working on the date for the March one. We're looking at March 21st, and then the April event would be April 3rd, be our normal board meeting. But the 21st has not been locked in yet. That's a tentative date, but the 3rd will be, that's our normal board meeting. So.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Patrick.
Oh, for green space, what I was gonna report on was the City Commission held a workshop, I think it was on November 13th, and they discussed not only the transportation projects, but the engineering design criteria manual. And in that, there was a landscape chapters, and that's some of the things that we were following on that. The presentation at the workshop was still very high level. And the questions, we had met with them last May and submitted some questions about the manual, the draft they had out there, such as why would the tree spacing have to differ for street trees based upon the speed of the roadway? Tree spacing should be to provide shade for the pedestrians walking on the sidewalk and based upon the spacing of the species of tree to create the canopy. And that it should have nothing to do with the speed of the roadway, yet that's one of the criteria in there, is the tree spacing, it lengthens based upon if this cars are going faster. So we have requested a change and that didn't happen. I also understand that one of the architect firms has done a review and submitted some top 10 issues that they have with that, that it really doesn't fit the criteria of a revisable code where you can more easily reference page numbers and things like that, so forth. So there's some significant questions in that, how much of that gets addressed from the workshop in terms of any changes come forward when it is officially proposed for adoption. We'll have to see and make comments at that time. Any questions?
Moving on, homeless committee, Peter.
Okay, what I'd like to do is,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to fold the homeless meeting into the update on the City Watch program.
Right.
Because they're becoming very, very much intermingled. As you know, we at the request of the Sarasota Police Department, were asked to see what it would take to put a community watch program together. The communities lost their community watch programs during the pandemic. They haven't come back real well, and Rex, police chief, was a little concerned that downtown he was hearing there aren't very many problems on his offices, but when he was hearing from the community was that there were lots of problems downtown. So we've been working, a group of us, David and Kathy, myself, Jamie, Gentleman, and our newest member who has agreed to help participate, Clark, have been looking at what are the problems with the community watch program downtown. It's different from that which is in just a regular, off-site community, Towers Court, Laurel Park. They have different, significantly different problems from what we have. So I'm glad we piloted it. This group that I've just mentioned walks at all hours of the day. We have one person who gets up at what a ridiculous hour, but walks in well before sunrise. We have another one who walks well after sunset. Neither of these people keep a normal schedule as far as I can tell. And the rest of us walk in different neighborhoods. And at first blush we were finding, we asked people to use the walkers to use the WhatsApp, take a picture of whatever they see, and make a little comment that this is a problem. And in the first month, what we had was lots of pictures of homeless people sleeping in alleys and doorways, on benches, out of control with mental health problems and so forth. And then we had other kinds of pictures coming in, pictures of graffiti, which could be an early sign of problems in the neighborhood if there's too much graffiti going on, and things like a broken sprinkler head. I mean, the pictures that we had coming in were broken sprinkler head, person in the right of way camping out, etc. Another person who found a real nice little patio, portico kind of area at a business on Central Avenue, sleeping there every morning when this person who takes his morning walk passes by. And he or she seemed to be gathering more and more baggage and piling it up in the same place. And then we have illegal parkers when there's no parking enforcement, clogging up the alleys downtown. So these are the kinds of things that we're trying to address. And we've started to put it into categories so that we can get some data that we can share with the police department. categories today are public health, urination on the sidewalk, vomit on the sidewalk. These are public health issues. Safety concerns. We're getting a lot of things, not just personal safety, but as you're walking along, there's a sign down that you could trip over, or a crack in the sidewalk that's getting bigger and bigger, or flooding gutters, etc. People problems, which are mainly the persons without homes, and I didn't want to call it a homeless problem because it goes much further than that. Fix-it issues, like broken bubblers, broken street lights, stop signs down. And then the big one is 911 calls, because some of our walkers will come into areas where we don't want them approaching it in any way, not even necessarily taking a picture, because it deserves a 911 call. Somebody's in a fight, somebody is breaking into a car, I mean, those kinds of things. And suddenly we found that we have a lot of 911 calls, especially on Friday and Saturday nights downtown after 2 o'clock a.m. Not after the jazz festival, but after the bars close. So these are the kinds of things that we're gathering data on, and we've started to share them, like some of the problems, people problems that are people hanging out, etc. David and I have had a meeting with Deidre Jones, who's the homeless outreach coordinator for the city, saying, do you know about this? No, I don't know about this. Do you know about this one? Oh, yes, I do know about that one. In fact, Clark before, I hope you don't mind me using the name, was concerned about a person who was out of control around the real estate office, which he works out of. I ran into her the next day in front of Whole Foods, not out of control, but causing a lot of trouble. I snapped her picture and sent it to Deidre Jones. She right away came back and said, we know this person. She's has some severe mental health issues. She's really good when she takes the medication. She doesn't like taking her medications. We've had her in a bed a couple of times, but she had a bad experience in the place where we had her bedding, and she won't stay there anymore. We contacted her brother, who won't take our telephone calls anymore. And so we at least know this person is on the schedule. In the same vein, Deidre let us know that in this past year, the homeless teams, among other things, but this one was the one that was most spectacular to me, have identified 21 people who they repatriated with their families out of state. These are 21 people who were roaming our cities, that had families that were concerned about them. They were able to get them under control in in the Sarasota programs here, got them hooked up with their families. The families agreed to meet them at the bus station if they put them on the bus, and they were under control. And so we do have these kinds of things happening. So we're trying to get a sense of who knows what in the city and how do we fix the problem using the present bureaucracy and what we may need to establish beyond that. So that's where we are, and we're looking for a condominium to pilot a program where we go with the group, offers some training to volunteers who will want to walk their dogs and want to join the program and participate in this, to see what the level of problems in training is. As I've communicated with several other communities, most communities don't try to have a watch and see program downtown. They said that's a police issue. We don't deal with it. Out of the neighborhoods, lawn sprinklers, somebody walking in the neighborhood who looks different from what the neighborhood is, etc. But nobody that I can find, none of the larger cities have a downtown emphasis. So we're kind of on new territory, and I can see why, but it's with the group that we have working, it's really been an enlightening experience, and I think we can do some things to help the city. Thank you.
Good.
I have a question. Yeah, Peter, do you want to consider expanding your test audience to rest of the board members before going to a full condo, or you want to just go out to a condo?
Well, I've been asking for volunteer. I mean, I don't know, managers helping us out, but yeah, oh sure, if there are board members, I'd take all 11 of us if you want to participate.
What does participation include? That's the thing. I don't know.
Okay, so
we had a written proposal a few months back And
About-
I haven't seen anything in detail since then, so I'm just wondering.
About, I think 2 meetings ago, I handed out the responsibilities for managing directors and what their responsibilities were, brief synopsis of kinds of issues that we'll be trying to pilot, the area in which we are conducting the water program. So it's in that area with those responsibilities. And tell you the truth, we meet roughly once a month, maybe a little bit more than that. And we come up with these things, and at this last meeting, we said, well, we need to try to train some folks and just walking around. So we decided to try to do it at one condo with whoever wants to participate. We're not saying everybody in the condo, just put it out to a condo and say, do you have residents who would like to take some training and get involved in this program? We would go through a presentation.
What's the method by which participants notified?
Not yet, they haven't been notified.
Oh, I thought that's what, how you
No,
were gathering.
that's what's being proposed to do in the next 4 weeks.
In terms of the things you've been seeing, it's just what individuals have just themselves.
The individuals that are
Identified.
board members that
Right.
have been.
It's just self-identification, it's not submitting it to some central processing group.
Yeah, I think that too, there's, with the expansion of the group that we have, there's been kind of a spin-off of things that have been identified in the downtown area, and that's somewhat taking on, I wouldn't say a life of its own, but it's going to have its own concentration, and they're going to be meeting separately, and
Because you were mentioning things like sidewalk issues, well, there's already a click fix app for that. And that's something we could be proposing that, more people make use of.
We have a click and fix program, and there seems to be a lot of clicking, but not much fixing is what we're learning.
that's what I
And
heard.
so we are taking on, what's the fix issue? We'll gather the data and we'll present it to the person and send it to the person in the city and track it. What have you done with this? There's no closure in that fix it issue because they're not closing the communication loop.
I understand that, and that is something I think that we should push on, instead of look around, is actually push on it to actually fix that problem. We articulated before, when we had Hermanio, here to talk to us, we could ask to follow up on that, say, communication is important. I mean, right now, I've got 6 different city apps to do different things with the city, and this is, but some way of.
Well, it's like the homeless problem. We're not gonna fix the homeless
No.
problems, but there is a place in the city that can fix it. And the person in the city who can fix it knew some of the problems, didn't know all of the problems that we're turning over.
Peter, you have a question on?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Cheryl.
Cheryl?
Do you have anybody in the 5 Points Park area?
That water-
Because I can reach out to our condo owners.
We haven't reached out to any individual condo yet. We want to try to see what it's like to reach out to an individual condo. So actually, when we discussed it the other night, the 5 Points area condos came up as maybe one of them should be the pilot site. So yes, we're aware of it, and we know that there are people anxious to get going on this.
Okay, I'm with 100 Central.
Yeah,
right.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Transportation, in Roger's absence, Patrick made mention that there was a transportation workshop. And the key thing that came out of there to me is the Boulevard of the Arts and 10th Streetscape projects are proceeding. They are proceeding to what's called 60% drawings to be done in May. So every indication is that those projects, you got to get them funded, but one thing they're continuing to work on the design, they've got the money, and that's moving ahead. Zoning, yesterday, it seems like years ago, there was a restaurants, bars, and nightclubs city commission workshop. The reason for that is about 4 weeks ago, the planning department came to the commission with proposed zoning text amendments. that were a lot of discussion and not adopted for certain, and it was concluded to do this workshop. Peter, you and I were there. It was, let's just say there was an active discussion and still a lot of unanswered questions. Steve Cover was provided some degree of guidance, and can you help me?
Well, I think their agenda was to, first of all, clarify the definitions that we all had problems with. Well, this was supposed to be a 2-hour workshop, and they took 105 minutes on 2 definitions. It's like, what is a bar and what is a restaurant, essentially? And how does a bar morph into an outdoor restaurant? And one of our members was there too, Jim. And then, you know, the whole discussion of guys got me going into the entertainment zone, and it's not the entertainment zone anymore.
Oh, exclusionary.
Exclusionary, yeah, zone. And it's clear after that workshop that they're not ready yet to come up with a set of definitions that clarify administratively what we're talking about when we're talking about a restaurant or a rooftop bar or an outdoor bar or a rolling doors, separate them. They're just not ready. And apparently, they think they're ready enough to receive another set of comments from the staff and have a commission meeting on first reading next month. So there are a number of us, the leadership of David and Victor McTeer, who's not here today, we've been meeting by Zoom and Peter Blanton and Patrick's on that as well. We're trying to communicate with the commission.
You will have seen in your backup materials a letter I wrote basically with questions for this workshop. And
it was a good letter. I want to say David wrote a good letter because he started out with a very positive comment. We support your effort. We need this effort. We'd like to work with you on this effort. And here's some questions we have. I mean, it wasn't a complaint letter at all. I thought it was well done.
thank you. Yeah, Peter Blanton gets credit for a lot of that. Let's just say this has turned out to be kind of a can of worms, and you can certainly see in the commission 2 camps kind of evolving, and it's going to be interesting to see how this comes together, because the commissioners and staff are getting lots of cards and letters, shall we say, from people who are quite interested in this. So I can just say stay tuned. If you want to get some context for it, watch the beginning and the end of the 2 almost 3-hour meeting yesterday.
David, I think a little bit of granularity. The reason the definitions matter is because if it's a bar, it has to do certain things and go through a different process. If it's a restaurant, that's a different process. That's why the definitions matter. And it's like, how do you define what is? So that's what all the controversy, because a lot of it is gray area. It could be a restaurant, but it could be a bar at night, or it could be a nightclub. What's a nightclub? And there are different qualifications for that. So it all matters what you're classified.
And the point is that there are different sound level ordinances that affect different categories.
Well, yes, but David, right, they haven't even gotten into the sound ordinance.
Yeah, the sound ordinance, Bob Fournier says he may be bringing forward some kind of discussion in February. Let's just say this is confusing, it's kind of a mess, stay tuned, right? Yeah.
However, some of the commissioners will be here this evening.
Yep.
And those points are ones that DSA is saying should be considered, especially given however it works out the definitions and the processes. Expanding to at least doubling or more of the exclusion zones might be something to put off at least. Let's see how it works in the current zone first, and the impacts of that. I'm not saying don't do the expansion into Rosemary or east of Washington, but let's see how this works out in the areas it is right now. If it's complex enough, this point of that.
Right. Okay. Bay Park Conservancy, Bob is not here. I think 2-3 weeks ago, there was approval, shall we
Yes.
say, of the phase 2, the $65 million or whatever it is, a kind of approval, so as to speak, for the master plan. So they should be moving full speed ahead. I think we know Bill Waddell has left, and the woman who was the other key position, I don't know how that's gonna slow them down, but for as far as funding, they have the bond for, so the money is there, it's just a matter of beginning the implementation of this. On CCNA, not much to report except that CCNA awards a neighborhood of the year kind of award every year. And Commissioner Jen received that award as the top contributor in CCNA. So if you see her tonight, you may want to extend congratulations to her. Nobody works harder in the city than Jen. On the Rosemary Park, I'll be damned.
No.
They started construction. In fact, today, they were pouring footings for a shade structure and some curbing. So work has indeed begun, and hopefully in 2-3 months, we'll have a park. And I think that's all I have. Platinum Association news updates, Annika? Come on down.
Hello, everyone. Okay, I am associate liaison to you. So I help with the events that we do 2 times a year. And I'm with Berg Simpson. We do construction defect litigation. I do their marketing. We're a national law firm. So if you have questions with shoddy workmanship, give us a call. I'm gonna just thank the sponsors, Serve Pro, that did like music and the food and the drinks. So Serve Pro did beverage sponsor, and Elderman Oaks as well. We have Hotwire who did music, Steve, and food is Ritzquay.
Ritzquay, yeah.
Okay.
Here, so you guys will be able to see the signs. So
Yeah.
an appropriate station, so
Yes.
special thanks.
And then we're gonna do the platinum members as well. So Stephen, you want to come?
Well, since I'm between you and holiday cheer, I'll be brief. Thank you again for allowing Hotwire Communications to be part of DSCA. We value it, our partnership very, very much. We are expanding our internet and television services condominiums throughout Sarasota, and we're very, very excited. And our involvement with DSCA has allowed us introduction to so many of the associations. So we really do appreciate it, and I just wish you all a happy and safe holiday.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's do Paul from Serve Pro. Bartender extraordinaire.
Nothing exciting, I just want to wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and let's enjoy the festivities.
Perfect. Thank you. What about Fred?
We defer to the boss, Don.
Don.
Don Fitz and Fred Brady with All Oaks Retirement Community. A couple of things of note. One, we do seasonal stays in tourist apartments in a conventional retirement community. So if you have friends or enemies that you may not want to have staying with you and maybe stay somewhere else, we'd love to have them, I think. And then secondarily, on Friday at 2 p.m., we're having a seminar at Alderman Oaks on fraud, ID theft, and other types of scurrilous activity that's going on. Love to have you come down at 2 o'clock. One of the other members, your associate members, Youthful Aging, will be presenting it at Alderman Oaks. I have information on it for this Friday at 2 o'clock.
And you do jazz concerts.
And we do jazz concerts, but I've got to be careful with that. I've got to learn more about what's going on here with the jazz.
We'll help you.
All right.
So, and then another platinum sponsor, Terry, with Socotec.
Hey, everybody, Socotec Consulting, we're a full-service engineering firm. Just wanted to say, happy holidays to everybody, Merry Christmas, and enjoy your families. Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kristen?
Hi, everyone. Kristen with Core Marketing. Business is good. Nothing really too new, but just Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone. Short and sweet.
Awesome. And so gold members, let's do Michelle. National Bank.
Michelle Sabati with City National Bank. We are the second largest Florida-based bank. We work with over 4,000 associations throughout the state of Florida. And so now that budget season is done, if there are any projects or anything coming up for 2024, 2025, we are lending. So if there's any loan opportunities, you want to talk about it. We also, rates have been steady, so there's no crazy rates going on for reserve accounts. They've been steady for quite a few months. Rates are a little climbing up on the loan side, but happy to address any of your financial questions. I attend board meetings, so happy to be here and we appreciate being a member.
And thank you for the goodies. Michelle also brought some goodies today. So you're welcome. Then we have Dennis.
You do.
Yes. Yes.
Dennis McSwinney with Smart Water Protection, have a happy Hanukkah Christmas. We cover them all at once. Shameless little pointing out of the obvious here, insurance isn't getting any better. Water leaks happen all the time, and now insurance carriers are using that as a reason to either deny coverage or jack the rates up. I got out of the insurance business because I got tired of hearing people have that issue. I now go in and put in water alarm systems that detect the leak and shut it off so it stays small and doesn't trash your building or your insurance. Every building's different, every association's different. Just have a conversation. I'll tell you what we do, but I need to learn what you want, and maybe we can help. Guys have a safe holiday.
That's everyone. Is there anybody else that we missed? No. Okay.
Oh, we're good? Okay. Okay, any member comments? And I'm hoping not. But our next meeting will be January 3rd, same time, same place. And thank you all. Have a great holiday. Nick, thank you. And let the party begin.